Hey, you guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven and accompanied by Queen Taylor. And today we're going to be taking a look at American compared why other countries treat their people so much better.
So much better.
And I want to preference this is a labor practices. And for me, I'm ready for that. Like I want to see what's out there.
Let's get into it.
Let's do this because I hate the labor practices in America right
now. I feel like I have a lot to say.
Yep.
So this could be a tangent of a video.
This is either gonna really trigger me or we're moving tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Down.
And so yeah, this came as a recommendation from some of our other videos that we've done in the past. And this is one that I've been meaning to get to for a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But we had a hiatus in recording, but we're back.
We're here now.
We are back.
So we're picking up where we left off. So you guys, let's hop on over the video and let's find out how much we suck. I'll tell you what, these Americans like finger guns.
Yeah, we do.
They're like typical Americans, you and your guns.
I know. I was thinking to say, I almost made a comment like,
you and your guns.
These are the only guns I use. Okay. But watch out because they're hot.
This episode and others like it are made possible by the generous support of my patrons on Patreon. If you'd like to help me make more content like this, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/secondthought. I'm going to say something that will probably offend many of my viewers. Let me preface this by saying that I, as an American, include myself in the following statement. Americans are quite possibly the most willfully ignorant people on the face of the planet. We have access to the sum total of all human knowledge, yet our understanding of the world rarely extends beyond our own country. And even then, the majority of Americans believe in a vision of the country that does not actually exist.
We're simple people.
It's not that we're stupid, we just tend to blindly accept that the US is the greatest place on Earth, and therefore don't see any reason to educate ourselves about the realities of the rest of the world.
I disagree with that, though. I think I love my country, obviously. Like, it's my country. I, by far, don't think we're the best. I also think while people are very ignorant, like there's plenty that I should know that I don't know. There's also plenty I should know that I don't know about my own country. Like I would take a history quiz if you gave me one right now.
Of
like
America.
Genuinely. Yeah. I also think, and maybe this will go into that, I don't know, but there's so many reasons why things are just different. Because I mean, partly, I don't know how it works, obviously, in like Europe because I don't live there. But a lot of countries are very close together like they are states here. People tend to know more in the US about other states in the US that they don't live in because I feel like it's kind of the equivalent to other countries in other countries because just in like proximity. But everything is so far away from us, which isn't an excuse. But also the work ethic here is vastly different from so many other countries. There's so many other countries where, you know, people get 40 weeks for maternity leave and, you know, all these things. You get paid time off, you get vacation time, all these things. And in America, it's just like work. You have to just and I'm not saying that there's not other countries like that, but you would agree that it's just like we don't work to live, we live to work here, and it's impossible to find time.
Man, this was a hot button for you.
It was because I feel like, you know, people, if there's something we don't know, people are always like, oh, typical ignorant Americans. And I find that offensive because I don't try to be ignorant. I don't pride myself on the things that I don't know. I genuinely do not have time to sit around and like try to learn things. My only spare time is doing these YouTube videos that we don't get to do near often enough.
And this is working because we make money from your YouTube.
Yeah. And this is also like how we learn a lot of these things because we don't have spare time. So I just wanted to say that I disagree with that because while there are plenty of people that are like happily willfully ignorant, it is not the case. Okay. There's plenty that I want to know. Just like change the way some things are done so we can afford to take some time off work so we can learn things because I would love to personally.
It's been 47 seconds. This is going to be great.
I'm sorry. I will not tangent the rest of this video, but that was the piece I needed to say because I hate it when people are like, typical Americans, you're so ignorant, you don't care about anybody else. And that's not true for us.
Well, I think we're simple people that are just trying to survive the work ethic and workflow of America, because it would
Yeah.
be soul crushing. I mean, you either work that hard or you're on the streets. There's like no real in between.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could either live outside in nature, which some people do voluntarily. I don't, whatever. Or you live in a house or you rent somewhere. It's like soul crushing. It really is. And even now, like Taylor was saying, we're working right now outside of working a 9-10 hour 12 plus hours, working weekends, working all that. So when I'm done working,
children,
I'm not giving a shit about a country across. I'm not caring about anything really. I just want to be with my family and do fun things. And
yeah, it's hard because like I genuinely enjoy learning new things and learning, especially about other countries and cultures. I think it's fascinating. My hobbies lately, especially, like I have none.
Yeah.
It's everything is so crazy, busy, hectic, wild, like non-stop that I just try to catch any type of sleep that I can whenever I can. There's 60 books probably on this bookcase behind me. I've read 4. I've had a lot of them for years. No time.
So it sounds like we're moving soon.
Packing it on up.
It's like it's pretty bad.
Yes.
But anyways,
I will try not to tangent anymore. That was my thing.
Yeah,
I need
let's
to drink
get on.
water now.
I don't think there's people like I think what other people think of Americans is like very patriotic, like where they're wearing the flag around their neck and they're sleeping.
We're
in
like,
the American
America's the
flag
best.
blanket. I don't think that's necessarily.
No.
There's a lot of people that were in the military that like went abroad and across the ocean, and they came back and they were like, man, it sucks here. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay.
We love our country, but there's
issues.
plenty wrong with it.
There's issues.
In this episode, we're going to pull back the curtain on how America
Sorry,
actually
guys.
compares to
Now,
other
let's get
countries,
through this
and consider
again.
why the richest country on Earth fails to treat its people with dignity and fairness. I'm going to provide a list of important topics, then for each item we'll compare the
Oh,
American
God, please don't
experience
talk
with
about
that of
healthcare.
citizens from other nations. Hopefully by providing a side-by-side comparison, you'll be able to see the stark contrast between how most Americans see their country and how it really stacks up against the competition. To give you an idea of just how skewed the American perception of our country really is, let's start with a pretty shocking example. Compensation for what are considered low-skilled jobs. We'll take the quintessential American company, McDonald's. McDonald's is the world's largest restaurant chain by revenue. It operates in over 100 countries and serves over 69 million customers every day. As of 2018, McDonald's was the second largest private employer, with 1.7 million employees, behind Walmart's 2.3 million. How many times have you heard someone refer to McDonald's jobs or workers in a derogatory manner? For some reason, people who work at McDonald's are seen as inferior or lazy or have any number of other unfair and unkind assessments leveled at them. This probably stems from the old notion of flipping burgers being a job anyone can perform. But the animosity towards low-wage workers has grown significantly in the past few decades. And in America, McDonald's workers really do suffer a low wage. As of 2020, the average crew member at McDonald's makes $9 per hour. The average McDonald's cashier makes $8 per hour. The federal minimum wage in the United States is $7.25, a rate which has not been raised in over a decade, and which should not be considered a reasonable wage for any position, considering the fact that a full-time minimum wage worker cannot afford to rent a 2-bedroom apartment anywhere in the United States, and can't afford a 1-bedroom apartment in over 95% of U.S. counties.
I don't think
See
you
what I
could
mean,
anywhere
guys?
The
else.
all too
Like,
common
look.
response to data like
See
this
that?
is something like, well, yeah, it's not a hard job. You should just find a better one. Here's a simple question. Should any job, regardless of technical skill required, pay workers so little that they cannot afford to rent even the smallest place to live? Not to mention other necessities like utilities, food, and medicine. Absolutely not. That is inhumane and cruel, especially coming from the second largest employer in the richest country on the planet. Other notable objections include, McDonald's has to make a profit. If they pay their workers more, they might go out of business. First of all, if you can't pay your workers a fair wage, your company should not be in business. End of story. But again, McDonald's is not struggling to make ends meet. In 2019, McDonald's raked in $21 billion in revenue. But no matter how obvious the exploitation of low-wage workers, Americans are hell-bent on praising the very companies doing the exploiting. Take this article on Reader's Digest, for example. It's titled, "This is what McDonald's workers really get paid." You see that and think, oh, nice. Finally some news showing how poorly these workers are compensated. Then you scroll down and nope, they're actually praising McDonald's, saying things like the food chain is also great for paying their workers
It was
fairly.
paid
and
by
McDonald's is one of the highest paying fast food chains in the United
this
States.
Article.
This level of sycophancy is insane. If 8 or 9
And then like what we just learned is like the ingredients in our food are also really bad in America because it's over processed and it's killing Americans because there's like this industrial complex that is all in cahoots with each other. I'm pretty sure the food industry is making us sick to help out the medical industry, and the medical industry is, you know, crazy expensive for the insurance companies, and it's just like this cesspool of revolving profit and greed from these like industries.
All it is greed.
When it's a whole industry trying to like be greedy and consume the public, their customers, right? Their customers. This is why Americans are the way that they are, and it's terrible. And he's completely right that like they make so much. They're the world's largest freaking fast food chain. Why are they paying their workers in America dirt cheap? They probably don't pay them that, and they don't feed them crap like they do in other countries, I bet. Actually, we know that for a fact.
Yeah, we do.
So I think America's problem is our economy is so fragile. Even though it's the richest, everything costs so much money because we're in so much debt as a country. Our debt is like more than like a whole country's worth, you know? It's kind of crazy when you think about it. We're like $46 trillion in debt, and everything's so expensive. Like our eggs, you could buy a house with a carton of eggs in America.
Yeah,
like,
honestly.
Jesus Christ.
Eggs are like $10 a dozen right now.
Yeah.
Everything just, when he was talking about how you can't buy, and like an average worker can't buy a 2-bedroom, I genuinely think for the past few years, you're not getting a 1-bedroom. Like, I know people that have 2 jobs that in certain places like Colorado where we were living couldn't get a studio apartment because you can't afford it, because a place with 400 square foot is $2,100 a month. Like, it's just insane.
$2,100.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
For this much space.
For the size of this room. Yeah. Unbelievable. Okay.
$9 an hour is some of the highest pay in the industry, that doesn't indicate that McDonald's is paying fairly. It indicates that a massive chunk of the population is being paid poverty wages. This is where taking an international perspective is so critical. If all you see is feel-good stories about how well McDonald's workers are paid, you'll never know how badly American workers are actually being treated. Let's take the same company, the same position, but in a different country. Here's a McDonald's in Denmark. The average McDonald's worker in Denmark, for doing the same low-skill job, makes $22 per hour. Well, hold on, you hear Reader's Digest scream from across the Atlantic. McDonald's workers in America get paid vacation days after just a year of work. Wow, enticing. In Denmark, when you're hired at McDonald's, not only are you making nearly 3 times what you would make in an American Mickey D's, you also instantly have access to a full year of paid family leave and a pension. No slaving away for a year to prove your value to the company. You're hired and you're treated fairly. Simple as that. McDonald's can afford to compensate all their workers like this, but they won't, because U.S. laws allow them to exploit American workers to the point where they're basically slaves, earning the bare minimum to survive, paying all of their income and often going into debt just to pay rent, and having no way to escape this vicious cycle because they're working such long hours. This is the case across all of America's low-wage jobs, of
not
which
even
there
just
are many.
low-wage, though.
The plight of the low-wage worker is incredibly dire. And all you have to do to understand that is look at how those same workers are treated in other wealthy countries. Let's move on to another topic, work-life balance.
Yeah, so guys, be kind to Americans. Like, this is the shit that they're dealing with.
Look, every day is rough, okay? It's wake up after 4 hours of sleep, work all day long, cook, clean, maybe shower, and do the same thing over every single day.
And I mean, you see what they're going through, and that's like you said, it's not just McDonald's, it's not low, it's every job seems like it's, I mean,
there should be where $22 an hour is able to get you things. you should be not struggling so much. But $22 an hour is like $8 an hour anymore. And obviously I don't want to sound like privileged. I mean, obviously we have it better than a lot of people out there do, but it's hard. Times are tough.
And I know people that like make 80 grand a year or upwards of 6 figures that are struggling. Upwards of 6 figures, and you can't buy a house. Isn't that nuts? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like, I make 100 grand a year, can't buy a house. What is happening? I digress. Let's keep going. I'm hurt and I hate this video so much.
Balance. Fair wages are definitely part of this equation. If you're paid fairly, you don't need to work a second job, which will free up your time to be spent elsewhere. But we're going to focus on other metrics, specifically the length of the work week, vacation time, and parental leave. Let's
Which is
start with
none.
the US. Most
none.
Americans would say that 40 hours per week is full-time. That seems to be the general consensus. But, in keeping with the country's exploitative labor practices, the hilariously named Fair Labor Standards Act does not actually define what qualifies as full-time. That's left up to the employer. Okay, why does this matter? Well, think of your past part-time jobs. Did you get any benefits? Healthcare,
Nope.
401k?
No.
Probably not. Most benefits, when they're offered at all, are
You gotta be
reserved for
36
full-time
hours
employees.
or over.
Companies don't want to provide benefits because they affect their bottom line. America is all about cutting costs, and providing workers with fair compensation is a cost. So, imagine you apply for a full-time job at Best Buy. You're offered the job, but they tell you they only have part-time positions, but they can give you almost full-time. They make it sound like they're doing you a favor, offering you more hours than normal part-time. But this is just another example of employers exploiting their workers. If you work 37 hours per week, you're essentially a full-time employee, but they don't have to provide you any sort of benefits. No healthcare,
it's
no
wild.
vacation, nothing. This is a common practice. Companies will hire people, but keep them just below the threshold for full-time to avoid providing fair compensation. I've seen it happen. I used to work at Best Buy and they would do it all the time. And
Yep.
that's just the companies who are still trying to appear generous. Others will simply not offer benefits at all, or set their full-time positions at 50 or 60 hours per week. Sales positions are notorious for this. They'll often say, well, we expect you to work 40 hours, but all the top sellers are working 60 to 70 hours per week. This is coercion. They're trying to pressure you into working more hours to benefit them, and the compensation is
Yeah.
never what they claim it will be. By allowing employers to define full-time work, American workers are held captive by corporations, forced to either work absurd hours to qualify for full-time benefits or find a second job to help cover the cost of things like health insurance. Both of these options lead to a terrible work-life balance, and as real wages have decreased and benefits have been offered less and less over the years, huge numbers of American workers have developed an unhealthy work-life balance. For example, in 1960, when workers had real bargaining power, only 20% of American women worked. Today, 70% of children live in households where both parents are working full-time. Where does all this lead? As of 2020, over 85% of American men and 66% of women work more than 40 hours per week. We work 137 more hours per year than Japanese workers, 260 more than the British, and 499 more hours per year than the French. Why do other
Wow.
What? Do you know how much time that
That's
is?
insane.
So 40 hours a week. Oh, I'm trying to do the math. That is
That's-
insane.
Do you guys like not work at all? That's I want that life.
We would go over there and just would not know what to do with our time. If I had that much free time, I would be like, I would be able to do great things. I'd
Yeah.
become an artist. I would get into philanthropy.
You'd have so many like
so
hobbies.
much time.
It'd be incredible.
Oh,
I just want to have enough time to have one hobby.
so many things. That
miss it.
sickens me. And it's our laws, and our laws are like outdated. They're from an industrial era when we're in a modern era.
Mhm.
Like, we've done things to improve with technology our work efficiencies, but how efficient can you be where it's to the point where you could do your job in 2 minutes based off of, like, especially with like ChatGPT or AI? I could do this task in 2 seconds, but like, now what? Do another task and just keep building on this thing. So we've become incredibly efficient at doing work. So why are we working more? And
Yeah.
why are we working the same 40 hours like they did in the 40s, man? It's crazy.
And these benefits we're trying so hard for suck.
Yeah.
You're paying so much for insurance that barely covers anything. Your deductibles are crazy high. It's just all hot garbage. Look, so if Americans seem like miserable people, this is why.
I mean, this is why we're miserable. It's I was gonna say this is why I'm hot. It's not, it's just it's tough.
This
dude.
is why we're mad.
This is why we're miserable. And we work an incredible amount. And what I hate is we work Monday through Friday with Saturday and Sunday off. Like that's enough time to recharge, and you don't really get vacations. I think it's like 2 weeks a year. There's 52 weeks in a year, and you have to work 50 of those fuckers. You have to 50 weeks. It's nuts. And like 9-hour days too, not even like 4-hour days. Because realistically, at any American job, you're only getting maybe four work, like really work, and then the rest is kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
Like I have a meeting from noon to 1, you know. But I digress. I'm complaining. It's bad. I hate it.
I mean, it's awful.
Countries have such a better balance because many of them have laws that cap the length of the full-time work week. Companies are required to pay their workers fairly and allow enough time off for employees to maintain a healthy work-life balance. That's not the case in the US. Vacation time is a similar story.
In so many instances.
Whereas many other countries mandate that employers provide paid vacation and sick days, the US does not. In every industrialized nation, workers get more paid vacation days and holidays than in the US. Here's a depressing graph to illustrate just how poorly we treat our workers. France 31, Spain 34, Austria 38, America 0. 0 paid vacation days, 0 paid holidays. And remember, these are the mandated figures. Every Austrian worker gets a minimum of 38 paid days off per year. Even in the worst possible employment situation, they'd still get 38 paid days off. In the US, many workers are lucky to get Christmas or Thanksgiving off at all. And the odds that it's a paid holiday, next to 0. Let's move on to our final comparison, paid parental leave. Many Americans aren't even aware this is a thing, so let me explain. When an employee of a company has a child, sometimes they're offered parental leave, a period of time where they can stay home from work to bond with and take care of their new baby. This greatly benefits the employee, the child, and in the long run, the company, because the employee will be happier, less stressed, and more loyal to the company. Of course, offering paid parental leave doesn't benefit corporations in the short term. And if there's one thing that encapsulates the American business philosophy, it's short-term gains over all else. So it won't surprise you to learn that the US is the only industrialized nation on the planet that does not mandate some amount of paid parental leave. This may be shocking to my American viewers because being able to get paid to spend time with your newborn child sounds like an impossible dream in our dystopian labor market. And honestly, it probably is impossible in our current America. We're so invested in self-destructive capitalism that even suggesting the possibility of paid parental leave would put US politicians out of a job. That's not the case in the rest of the industrialized world. In fact, every other OECD nation, and even in many third world countries, new parents are guaranteed at least several weeks of leave. Let's take a look at a few of them. Ethiopia, a country with an annual gross national income of under $900 per person, offers 90 days of leave with 100% pay. Madagascar, 14 weeks at 100%. Afghanistan, 90 days. Denmark, 52 weeks. Norway, 56 weeks. France, 16 weeks at 100% pay for your first child, up to 26 weeks for your third, on top of 104 unpaid weeks. Lithuania, 52 weeks at 100%, plus an additional 52 weeks at 80%. Again, the United States does not mandate a single day of paid parental leave, even for the mother. And the father is never...
Mine was all unpaid.
I got 4. Just because my company was generous enough to give me 4.
Yeah, you've got a pretty good company.
Yeah. I mean, it's not good.
You're very fortunate that
terrible.
They give you that, because a lot of companies don't.
but it's nothing compared to this.
No, but for an American company,
Yeah, for an
it's
American
fantastic.
company, yeah.
It's really great.
But that's like, so that's what's sad about it is I work for, let me just say, like a large company in the Fortune 500 company, and like they offer some of the best, but the best is 4 weeks in America. They offer the best around, all the benefits.
Look,
4
I'm the
weeks.
one that did all the hard work and spat the kid out.
Yeah,
And mine was still all unpaid.
it's unbelievable.
Ever considered. This means that workers in America have to choose to either pay the exorbitant cost of childcare or have one parent quit their job in order to take care of the child. These are both bad options, which often lead to economic precarity. But that doesn't matter to the companies employing American workers. Profit is the only thing that matters. Hopefully, seeing these labor practices compared like this has made it clear that not only is the US not living up to its claim to being the greatest nation on earth, but also that it consistently ranks poorly and often dead last in terms of labor metrics. Why is it that the wealthiest, most powerful nation on earth can't pay their workers a fair wage, or provide health care, vacation time, or paid parental leave? You should realize by now that it's not that they can't, it's that they won't. Everything in America is beholden to the almighty dollar. Profit is the only motivator. If an action does not produce a greater profit, it will not be considered. Over the last few decades, Americans have watched as our livelihoods, our quality of life, and our dignity have all been stripped away by those who already make obscene amounts of money. Those in power say we're all in this together, but that couldn't be further from the truth. The ultra-wealthy and the world's largest corporations rely on Americans remaining ignorant. They rely on us accepting the lie that America is the greatest nation on earth, that it couldn't possibly get any better. All you have to do to shatter that lie is to take a look around the world. Other nations take care of their citizens. Even impoverished nations, or nations that we've bombed into oblivion, take better care of their people than the US does. American workers need to relearn the language of class struggle and work together to break the wheel of the capitalist machine. If we want to claim that the United States is the greatest place on earth, we need to make it that way.
Damn.
I mentioned at the beginning of this video that this kind of content is supported by my patrons on Patreon. This type of video, while very important, is something that sponsors won't touch. In order to pay the bills and keep this channel running, I rely on AdSense revenue, sponsors, and donations from generous viewers. By producing explicitly anti-capitalist content, I lose out on both sponsors and AdSense. If you enjoy the kind of videos I'm producing and you're able to chip in even $1 a month, I would greatly appreciate the support. You can find my Patreon page and join our growing Discord server at patreon.com/secondthought.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed that. I think he did an incredible job.
Yeah.
I thought the narration and the supportive imaging, the imagery was perfect, spot on. Of course, he's speaking from experience as he's an American. And I think a lot of Americans feel the same, echo the same sentiments. Yeah. I know we do, at least.
Yeah, to everything he said.
To everything that was said. It's like, and it's not that we're blind to it. It's just there's so many people here. There's 60 million people in America that are all just trying to get by. And there's some people that are ultra political, and there's some that are not, that are just trying to, because when it all is broken down in America, you have these, like I said earlier in the video, these industries, not even one single solidarity company, even though it might feel like Amazon or Google own everything. There's also Disney. There's also, so there's industries that are, it's not even like us taking down our government. It's going to be like Americans going to uprise on these industries.
Yeah, and people are always like, so why don't you do something about it?
Okay, exactly.
So what do you do? You're going to gather maybe a couple hundred people if you're lucky, and then what's that going to...
Yeah.
It's which sucks, because it's like, yeah, you want to do something about it, but...
Like, what do? You vote another politician in? The politicians are a part of the problem, because they're the ones getting, like, you have a normal wage and probably and then they become ultra rich from being a politician. Politicians aren't supposed to make like a ridiculous amount of money, like millionaire status. They make like a good, let me hold that back. If you're a politician, the government pays you a 6-figure salary, right? It's like $100,000 or $200,000 a year job as just like a senator. That's their salary from the U.S. government. How do you take $200,000 a year and become like a multi-millionaire, billionaire from being a senator? I don't know. But they're all keeping themselves rich. And
they're nice and cushy. And
what's crazy is they're working too. Like a lot of CEOs are also working these crazy hours. So like, why is it a status thing? Is it a control and power thing? Yeah, I guess so. But there's nothing really we could do about it. I'm like, I don't think in a couple of generations America's going to be here because it's not sustainable. This work ethic thing is there's going to be either a revolution that happens and internally that's going to have to happen. It's going to have to happen because this work-life balance nonsense that is non-existent is not sustainable. And I don't know like what the future generations are going to look like. I really don't.
They're not going to know their parents because their parents are at work constantly, being raised by daycare workers, and
that's already a thing today. That's
already a thing that's what I'm saying.
But I mean, like our kids, like, are you know, we're gonna have robots everywhere. So who's gonna take care of us? Right? I don't know, you guys.
Yeah,
that was a lot. Sorry if we were a little triggered. You know, I feel like it was directed at us.
If you need a little clarity on where we stand on certain things, just let us know.
Yeah, if you
we'll
need
clear it right up.
We'll clear it right up. I didn't want to make this a political one.
Yeah.
A political standpoint, because I think I firmly believe that as much as you want to believe that voting and political matters like are helpful, I don't think so. I think the corporations own America. I think there's nothing we could do. No one we could vote. I know we have Trump in office, or you know, we had Biden in office. Our presidents are only there for 4 years. They can't do shit. You know, they can't do nothing. But anyways, that's our time. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.